of what I'll be discussing so much as some of the things that I want to address that I would like Gearbox to formally address. Um, this is completely unprofessional and everything. I'm not no splash pages or anything like that. And this is all spur of the moment because Borderlands has some problems still. And you'd figure they'd be fixed with Borderlands, the pre-sequel, but just looking at how they've showcased Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 3 and each character's skill set, um, I don't really have a lot of faith that these guys will do the right thing. Plus, Randy Pitchford is one of the most obnoxious people ever. And when obnoxious people run a country or run a business, no matter how good the business is, they're not good people necessarily. To put this in perspective, right? So one of the biggest problems with Borderlands, and I most definitely mean Borderlands, is the issue regarding fight for your life. You might see it happen here, you might not. Now, as you can see, another thing, I'm holding the Unkempt Herald and the Grog Nozzle. The Grog Nozzle is a mission item that can only be acquired from the Beard Makes the Man. So, if you have the vanilla PC version and haven't bought any DLC, you can't get this weapon. It scales to your level, depending on how many times or not depending on how many times you reset the game, but it scales to your level whenever you reload your save file. Not sure if it automatically adjusts in-game on the fly. But what most certainly is true about the Grog Nozzle is it's a weapon that you can only get it's a mission weapon. And then there's this. Certain characters' action skills are kind of useless on certain enemy types. For example, the sentry gun, Axton sentry gun works wonders. But the weakest action skills, I think, are number one, the Psycho's Berserker mode, and of course the phase lock skill. Useful for small enemies and other enemy types. Useless on bosses. It doesn't work, especially raid bosses. It's also useless on certain enemy types like buzzards and bandit technicals. Anything with a vehicle. As far as the character Salvador, he's a decent character, and dual wielding certainly is ridiculous. But let's go back to the Grog Nozzle, for example. This weapon is useless, in terms of what it does, but it's one of the best healing weapons you can get. I repeat, one of the best healing weapons. You shoot something with this, and then you do damage with another gun. If the enemy is slagged, any damage you do automatically heals you. But this is provided that the gun is still in hand. That means that you have to slag an enemy with the grog nozzle, and then damage them with a grenade or an action skill. And you'll basically go from 0 to full health in no time flat. No time at all. Now, biggest problem. People who know about this weapon, especially after their first or second playthrough, are going to farm it immediately. You know? And if that's the case, they're not going to... This one mission they're not going to do. Now, if you put so many missions in a video game with the intent for people or for players to play through and finish all of these missions, then you should probably do just that. Make it so that you know, people can find that weapon easier. Iridium is another currency, and like money and bullets should automatically just be picked up when you walk over them. The fact that I have to hold a button to get these items, these specific items, makes no sense. So I'm not in agreement with Gearbox on that one. I think they need to overhaul the ammo and currency systems. If I walk over it, it should automatically be picked up. Any video game that makes you pick up an item that isn't a turn-based RPG, you know, you're doing it right. Western RPGs also have this obsession with min-maxing. Oh, sorry. And min-maxing, while on paper is great, okay, it's cool. The problem with min-maxing is that you end up in a situation where
one of you's gotta go.
It isn't necessary. You're min-maxing basically for no reason. You know, what you end up doing ultimately, right, is you play this game up to a certain point, and you see all these skills, right? Well, here's the thing. You have 3 different skill trees, and as you can see, I've gone down all of them. Well, eventually, I think the number of skill points you can get is like 74, I think. And that already is a problem. Because number one, again, if you have the vanilla version of the game and not the Handsome Collection, you don't have access to the level caps. And if you don't have Commander Lilith in the fight for Sanctuary, then you're missing another 8 levels and another +2 levels on Digistruct Peak. And as you can see here, stuff like lay waste, killing an enemy increases fire rate. You know, no kill like overkill, killing an enemy. You know, all I need is 1. That's for weapon swapping. You know, inconceivable. Your shots have a chance to not consume ammo. All on the reflexes. That's a skill that I really want. This is another kill skill. You know, while gunzerking, the longer you hold down the trigger, the faster your guns fire and the faster you reload. Cool. You know, and then we go further, taking damage from enemies. I'm the Juggernaut, kill skill. Killing an enemy reduces all damage taken for a few seconds. Now, unless you're using a class mod that adds up to that. You know what I mean? There's absolutely no point in you using a kill skill. You know, like, yeah, it's useful, especially in a room full of small enemies. Against the boss, it's a waste of skill points. So already, with a limited amount of skill points, you're prioritizing what specifically you'd like to, use. All players who want to play through the game on a practical level, and keep in mind what's practical to the individual player is ultimately what makes it fun for them. So what I find practical might be different from someone else. But I'm not alone in saying that a good majority of people who play Borderlands 2 most definitely would rather play using the most practical methods to win. And the same result happens in fighting games. This is why so many people say that they want, the game to either be balanced so characters aren't so ridiculously good compared to others, and they're just good because they're viable. This is why fighting game tournaments or League of Legends tournaments or whatever, you see the top 8 usually using the same 4 or 5 characters, that are already commonly used because they're just that good. You don't really see a lot of players doing other words. And part of that is whoever's playing the game also might not other players might not they might not have, what's the word we're looking at, some other characters might have they might have forgot what I was gonna say, because that storybot's playing in the background. My son is watching cartoons and terrorizing the house now. Hold on a sec. All right, so. Oh yeah, my little man says hi. And now he doesn't want to. Now he doesn't want to behave. Hold on a sec. have my mic off, so I just said a bunch of stuff and didn't even notice. Alright, so, oh wait, I had that on. So I was saying, one of the biggest problems with Western developed RPGs, and sorry for the interruption, you know, being a parent and wanting to do certain things at the same time can get a little difficult when you have a toddler. You know, but that could always be taken care of, you know. Little responsibility goes a long way. But as far as the initial topic that I do want to address, the issue with min-maxing, and this is a flaw in all Western designed RPGs and video games that use a skill point system, is they want the player to find clever uses of these systems, but 9 times out of 10, like every other video game, the players just end up using what works best overall, you know, and the community just ends up using what strategies and setups work best overall. There's no real, you know, there isn't a real there's no real individualism. It's either you use the most broken setups that the community at large uses, or you don't. You know, there are you know, you could play things out a little different if necessary, but most players, guaranteed, most players do not play the game, you know, the way it was intended. PC players will actually cheat and get all the skill points, and those that have 360s might even go as far as, you know, PC players might even go as far as modding the game so they can get all the skill points, or even get to level 99. And I know this for a fact because I've done it. So this idea that you're gonna have these, you know, these awesome, you know, and creative ways to play the game is nonsense. But then here's another problem. Gearbox literally thinks that players are going to, you know, I mean, they're gonna use the different skill trees in different ways, and you know, Borderlands 3 isn't out yet, so it remains to be seen whether or not certain skills will be more useful than not. But as far as skill points and stats are concerned with you know, the player characters, I think there's still a lot to be desired as far as how the game, you know, how the game was initially designed. It's, you know, again, I would love to have every single skill in Salvador. This doesn't make him broken at all either. I mean, you could still die if you have shitty gear. Which brings me to the next problem with Borderlands. You know, loot pools and people farming gear. The Unkempt Herald is one of the easiest guns to acquire in this game. You know? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is one of the easiest guns to acquire. And I'll show you how to get that in a minute. Reason it's the easiest gun to acquire because you won't be playing the game for very long before you have the opportunity to get it. But see, here's also the problem with that. The Unkempt Herald, while it is one of the best pistols in the game, or the best pistol in the game, the only character that it's really useful on is Salvador. Because again, he has a skill that gives you damage and accuracy bonuses based on whether or not you have matching guns or not. So like here, the Grog Nozzle and the Unkempt Herald are pistols. And because they're pistols, I get a damage bonus. If you actually look at the Divergent Likeness, when gunzerking with two guns of the same type, you deal bonus damage. When gunzerking with two different types of guns, you gain bonus accuracy. But there is nothing enticing me to switch weapons. You know, I heal and I do damage from using that. And with skills like Money Shot, it's not even practical for me to reload. Wait, where's Money Shot? Wrong one. With skills like Money Shot, there's no point for me to even reload. I do an extra 400% in damage, up to 400% damage, and that's just for the last round. And the Unkempt Herald shoots like 7 bullets at a time. So if I get a double penetrating Unkempt Herald, that's gonna shoot 14 bullets at a time. So if I'm shooting 14 bullets at a time with the damage up there, plus the last bullet in the chamber is shooting 14 bullets that have an added damage bonus of 400%. It's a win-win, you know? So yeah, perfect way to use skill points. But here's the other problem. You got to get to level 5 to get just that one at the top. And then you have to be level 11 just to be able to get to this next tier down here. Then you have to be at level 16 to get to this tier down here, and so on and so forth. It requires 5 skill points, which means you have to grind things out. And by the end of the game, on your first playthrough, you'll be level 30, which means you're not going to have enough skill points to go down more than maybe one skill tree. And you're not going to use all the skills on here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You know? That's how we got here. And here's the thing. This is 5, this is 10, this is 15, this is 20, this is 25, this is 30. Meaning, all you need to do is get to level 31, and you can get this skill point. You know? By the time you finish the game on your second playthrough, you should be anywhere between level 45 and 50. You know, which is, you know, another 15 to 20 extra skill points. But again, that's a lot less than what you earned the previous playthrough. And then in your final playthrough, which nets you more, more chances for better loot drops. You have to play through the game twice. You have to finish the game twice to do that. And Borderlands 2 doesn't have a super long campaign, but you'll be playing all day. I mean, if you run straight through the game, you will be playing all day. And my thing is this. This is the 4th game in the series. So the 4th game in the series, I would much rather be able to select my own difficulty and go from there. You know, and with that difficulty should come with it the appropriate skill points needed, to play the game. I don't want to have to finish a 30+ hour single player campaign, single or cooperative campaign twice just to get to the really good stuff. That's not cool. Slag. This is another reason I have the Grog Nozzle. With Slag, I'm able to deal extra damage once the enemy is slagged. And then if I hit them with any other, element, fire, corrosive, explosive, lightning, I'm good. The problem with that is the overall time you're going to be spending grinding everything out. It's not fun after a while. I mean, it's fun the first time, but then it becomes mundane and boring and tedious after doing it multiple times, you know. And the other thing is you can't reset your playthrough until you've you know, finished the main campaign at least once on Ultimate Bolt Hunter mode. So even if you wanted to get the best gear, you have to grind that out. And again, players who are all for the grind, you know, they're fine. But the issue I have with that is we're in an era where people just want to get right into it nowadays. I've been playing video games for, you know, pretty much 30 years at this point. And I'm really not too cool with having to grind out very mundane and tedious parts of video games that I like just to get to where I want to be. You know, seasoned players are most definitely tired of having to earn something they've never had to earn before, or earn something that honestly should already be a choice. I shouldn't have to earn the choice to be able to play a video game with a bigger challenge, you know. Because I think the part of me earning something in a video game is playing, you know, is playing the game. So, you know, it's just playing the game. Like, for example, I'm already grinding things out, killing these enemies over and over again, just so they'll drop the item I want, you know. And then I have to do this again once I reach level 80, and then do it again once I reach OP level 10, you know. So, and then OP level 10 is convoluted in how it's acquired. I have to play the game, reset it, increase that OP level, and then play it again, and play through Digistruct Peak on that OP level, just to unlock the next OP level. And I find, you know, stuff like that to be a little, again, tedious in design. I don't believe I should have to do all that. You know, I should be able to increase that OP level in the middle of the game, you know. And then if you're playing on console, load times are actually much more tedious and excruciatingly long. Whoa. So this happened. So now watch this. Point blank range. Another issue I have with this game, the overall speed of, you know, the overall speed at which you move and fight for your life, you know, compared to all the other enemy types in the game. You know. So as you can see, I got all these bullets raining hellfire on these guys. They still won't die, and this is at point blank range. You know? Again, I don't find this game to be horrible. I find it to be flawed. And when you like something, you know, as much as you do, you start to call those flaws out. You start to see them all, you know? Your favorite games are going to be your favorite games and the most played video games are actually going to be the ones you usually find the most problems in. Usually. There are some games where those problems aren't as major or they don't exist. But with you know, with Borderlands 3, there's definitely a massive. I don't think I killed that sandworm. Maybe I forgot when I was ranting, but you know, there's a lot of things that I kind of take issue with, but again, these things don't make Borderlands 2 a bad game. It makes it flawed. You know, whether it's extremely flawed or not is, you know, again, still up to an interpretation. But in my opinion, Borderlands, more specifically Borderlands 2, is an inherently flawed game that really could use some fine-tuning. Obviously, if they're not doing it now, then they can do it with Borderlands 3. But I don't feel hopeful about that. Again, simply because Randy Pitchford is a jackass, and I think game developers are, in retaliation, starting to get a little too full of themselves, almost as much as some of the deranged fans out there. Just, again, take Randy Pitchford's behavior as well as the Ooblets developers' behavior, just for example. But moving on to other things that are inherently flawed about Borderlands. So let's go back to the skill points, or the action skill. Now, like I said, some characters' action skills are completely useless in certain situations. For example, Maya's action skill is completely useless against most bosses, or raid or otherwise. You know, her action skills straight up are just shit. They don't work. They're not fun to use, and it's just not a good thing. You know, I like that Hyperion shotguns specifically in Borderlands 3 have shields, because what's the number one thing you're going to be doing with a shotgun in most games that involve shooting? Running up in an enemy's face and blowing their head off. And, you know, it's kind of hard to juggernaut through people's damage when your character is a glass cannon. So, you know, Hyperion shotguns with shields make sense in that regard. They 100% make sense. But seeing as how I can shoot an enemy point blank, and they can still move, you know, not even move out of the way, just run towards you and totally miss all the gunfire you know, shot their way. Ridiculous. You know, like those bullets didn't even travel that far, and they didn't do a lot of damage, and that enemy was slagged. You know, It could be just that slag damage doesn't do too well unless you're using a normal or non-elemental gun. You know, at that point, the bitch or the lady fist would probably be a better gun. Non-elemental, obviously. But yeah, slag is another thing that, depending on the you know, wow, the shield of the Firehawk kind of sucks. Now, obviously, I don't have my, I have my Gunzerker class mod, but that'll happen as soon as I start farming Uranus. I think
I'm wrecking Bay! Oh, it's good to be neat! This is ridiculous!
I think the Firehawk shield got nerfed. I mean, I don't use it anymore pretty much, but I've heard that this particular shield is really good on Salvador, and I just don't see how that's a valid, how that argument is valid. I do not. I really don't see it. This shield is going back to the mouthwash or retainer, because the flame of the Firehawk is garbage. I'll just give that back to my girlfriend's character. She could use it. Now the other thing is the guns were meant to be fun to use, and they are not. Now, part of the reason why I'm grinding out my my Salvador is because I want an easier time when facing off against Terramorphous. And I really don't like the duck and cover shoot mechanics. I know they're putting in sliding to Borderlands 3, but that seems like a skill that we probably should have had with this iteration. Like, this should have been something they should have added with Borderlands 2. I mean, you had games like Bulletstorm, Battlefield, and so on and so forth that added that mechanic already, and these guys just basically said, no, we're not doing it, and I think that was a missed opportunity. Granted, what was the point? Vaulting is another thing. Modern Warfare had that, and that predates even Borderlands. So, I mean, we're talking about a skill, a traversal skill, a context-sensitive traversal skill that would have most definitely been useful to players like 7 years ago. So I don't You know, I personally do not excuse the laziness on Gearbox's part there. I'm glad it's in, but I'm curious to see how that particular skill set is actually going to work. With Borderlands 3, you know. So there's, as I said, there's a few things that I think we need to work out there. The other thing is, I don't think I've pretty much covered action skills. I know to counteract the issue with action skills is to give characters different action skills, but basically what you're saying is, or basically what Gearbox is saying at that point is, it might be better if we stuck with one character throughout the whole of that game, and it doesn't really encourage players to do much else. I think it is a bit of a fail.
I miss my bar. Thought of that thorny prick Hector drinking all my booze. Now that's a damn tragedy.
Yeah, that is. You know, like I said, it goes.
Look at all these recruits! Fantastic! Now it's time for the initiation. Climb up there and follow my instructions.
Alright, where the hell? Oh, this map. It sucks. It's been that bad since the original Borderlands, and this game doesn't make it any more fun. I think that needs to be fixed.
Hey guys, I heard that from here. Called it.
You were right. Moonshot worked, Mordecai. And you're looking real bad.
Yeah, he'll live.
Your friend's infected. Excellent. That is to say, his condition is quite advanced, but not incurable. I need you to bring me a blood sample, or as we say in the scientific community, that good red stuff.
That good red stuff.
You ain't getting none of Morty's blood. Back off! I'm a black belt master of karate! Huh?
Tina, easy.
It's
and it's
karate.
definitely pronounced karate.
You lucky this time, punk. Was about to karate your ass. In half!
Whoa, look at her eyeball. I guess Tiny Tina is supposed to look cockeyed and insane.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't feel so great in my stamen.
You have the sample? Excellent. Make your way to me and we will complete the antidote together.
Good old Moxie. But yeah, as far as the end of this game, like I said, I'm a little.
I miss Sanctuary.
I'm a little.
Guess it ain't until you
With Borderlands, it's very surprising, honestly, that people love this game as much as they did, because Borderlands 2 is the game everyone played the most. And unfortunately for Borderlands 2, and I don't think people realize this is kind of the effect of Mass Effect 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Mega Man 2, in that the first game was entertaining but very flawed, to the point where it would have easily alienated or turned off players that just couldn't be arsed with dealing with it, you know? Same thing with Crash Bandicoot 2. Best game in the series, and you know, came with the most improvements and the least inherently flawed. But when you look at something like Borderlands, same thing. Then you have the pre-sequel. Regardless of it being a prequel and technically a sequel, it's still an expansion gameplay-wise, an improvement gameplay-wise to Borderlands 2. And that ended up having more frustrating stuff to deal with, actually. So...
Recruits! I am the mighty bandit king, Vaughn!
So that's kind of...
Woo! Good effort, Jerry. Being a bandit means being tough as nails. Prove you've got what it takes by leaping off that thing. Vault Hunter, show him how it's done.
Okay.
How's Helios looking these days?
Nigga, I just jumped off of here.
Take it.
Sometimes, you know, I forget that people can't see me, but they can hear me. And, you know, I'm not going to say what I just said was inappropriate because I'm black. Alright? And nobody ever gets upset or gets freaked out unless a black person says nigga on a stream or publication that they're not supposed to, you know.
Wow, well,
so let's put it this way: nobody's gonna be surprised if people say it in a song. But if somebody like Ninja or Maximilian Dude does it, it's gonna be a problem. You know. So that is that. I do not take responsibility for what I just said.
Man, I wish I could have been there for that moonshot. You see old Helios doing something good for a change?
I say these things.
Plus, huge explosions are cool.
Because I can. And that's just me.
Day, full of opportunity. Farewell, friend.
And before you ask, yeah, that is my ethnicity, is a black American. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any remorse or anything for if I say that.
Later, Vault. But
you guys gotta watch yourselves on the internet and in person. You know, it's not good. In general, everybody should watch what they say, because it could offend people, and it could also be rather damaging, to your reputation, and you need to guard that with your life. That is a thing that still needs to be done.
You just focus on keeping Pandora safe, so I can focus on keeping it dangerous.
You won't find better merchandise anywhere else. I made sure of that.
Oh, did you, Marcus? Now, if I'm going to be honest and on the subject of racial discrimination and harassment, because of the behavior of people online, there's the old joke that there's a bunch of 12-year-old white kids on Xbox Live, calling everybody nigga on Call of Duty, and there is a very large amount of truth to that, but it's not 12-year-old white kids. It is people who, claim Hispanic, but then, pull their I'm actually white, so that's how society sees me. I know people like that, and they're despicable for it. I met somebody in the military who honestly said some very outrageous shit. Like, no, white people are superior. He literally said that. I'm like, huh? Even going as far as his roommate at the time. Like, when people say you're racist and a bigot, you gotta stop doing stuff that, you know, you gotta stop doing things and saying things that show people that that is what you're about. You know, if you did it once before, that's fine. But if you want people to think that was you yesterday and not today, you have to have enough self-discipline to practice not acting like that or being like that. If you truly don't want to be that evil human being, and you don't want to be that person that society doesn't want you to be, you know, because it is, I'm sorry, but there are some personalities, some people, and some things that just shouldn't be said. There are people who just shouldn't say certain things or do certain things, and there are certain people who just, they have no right to exist or be in the world. You know, they don't. Yin and yang is a balance of positivity and negativity. Negativity does not mean evil, and that's what people have to understand the difference of. You know, the difference between the two. Positivity doesn't always mean good. And I know it sounds like I'm just kind of ranting out of nowhere, but this is all me basically responding to me saying nigga. And yes, I will continue to say it, but not in a way that is condescending or hateful or hurtful or whatever, because it's not me. I say it because it's a part of my English lexicon. It's, you know, entrenched into the, you know, the culture that molded me growing up over the years. Alright, so it's not something, it's like telling a woman to, you know, to not say bitch, you know, to not call her you know, her friends bitch. It's still a derogatory term, but it's also used amongst women as a term of endearment, you know. And there are very few instances where it's okay to use that term. Like, I can't say that to my girlfriend. I can't say that to my mom. But more than likely, I'm probably going to say it to them out of anger. And I've done that before already. And I've had to apologize. In fact, they wouldn't be the first people. You know, I've even gone as far as I've just gone off on people in the worst ways out of anger, and that's something you should never do. Where does PewDiePie fit in all of this? The truth is, he has the right to say it. Everybody does, but there are consequences and repercussions depending on the person. So it's like this: if I were a white man and I said that, and I dropped like as many M-bombs as I just did, I might get banned from Twitch or YouTube. There might be headlines being made, things like that. But with all that said, and yes, a good way to acknowledge when I said, man, I just jumped up off this damn tower, nigga. That's like that one segment where Booker T, you know, was, you know, trying to get at Hulk Hogan, and he said, "Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga." And then he immediately regretted that decision. It's kind of like that, because I try not to say it. I know I've said it like 5 or 6 times now. I try not to, because it stirs the pot regardless. You know, it's not a good thing. But I also think that it's best, if anything, to have a discussion. You know, even some of my white friends, rather than telling them, hey, you know, rather than getting in their face and becoming the blows over that, because no one got hurt physically. You know, it's more like, hey man, I don't call you. You know, I'm not even gonna say them because I'm not at liberty to say them. But so out of respect, I won't refer to these terms. But let's just say, and there are racial slurs for white people, but let's just, to give you an idea, I was like, man, you know, why they gotta be all that? Like, I know they're black, and you know they might be a little too stereotypically annoying and obnoxious, but that's no reason to, you know, use a hard ER to describe these folks. You know, because what does that make me to you? You know, like, oh man, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, you know. So I wasn't at all trying to be a jerk to him or anything. We just had like a little discussion. You know, even a simple sorry, you know, is I'll take that. You know, it's not that big of a deal. You know, some people, that's how they grew up, and some people, that's just how they live. But anyways, I didn't mean for this to be a segue about, you know, the types of names you should call people, or the you know, the how to properly speak to certain individuals. This is more along the lines of what originally the original premise is. There are parts of Borderlands 2 that kind of suck, and my wish, and I hope they do this, and I hope they fulfill this these wishes, is that they fix some of the problems with this game. Like, I would like to be able to sell. What's the point in labeling your stuff as trash or favorites if you can't sell them all at once? I don't need to inspect this gear. I want it gone. You know? And then there's this. The novelty of finding a new gun and equipping it and using it, or a new piece of gear and equipping it and using it, that has kind of come and gone. It's not that fun to... Oh, that was a bad move. Somebody else could use that. But this can go. I think it's a failure on the, you know, on the part of the on the developers, honestly, to not set this game up with a proper, you know, with proper balance as far as the mechanics are concerned. I'll never, you know, I'll never stop playing Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 is anything to write home about. I'm probably going to be playing the hell out of Borderlands 3 for a long time. You know, no questions asked. I love this series, but one thing I could also say about Borderlands is that
Get off my plane!
well, one thing I will say about Borderlands 3 is if I can have fun with it and they can fix all the other problems, cool. I have fun with this game in spite of all the flaws that are in it. And I'd rather not, you know, I'd rather not have that instance where I'm not the best. Like, I'm not the best with first-person shooters or, you know, this particular gameplay style, but I also don't like how the fight. I think the fight for your life system is actually broken, and it is most definitely not for the better. Like, if you're gun zerking, you really shouldn't be taking cover. Like, these guys have sniper rifles. You know, some of them, but
I don't think so. I can't hear you.
elevator's coming down. You know. The elevator's down here, and now I can leave. I also wish you could shut down people's, you know, action skills to sort of, you know, cut the cooldown timer. Like, if I'm not using it, what's the point of having it on? You know, like Double Trigger. Either that or give everybody the ability to dual wield, you know. But again, a lot of how people play Borderlands 2, it's a very strategic, everybody uses this strategy kind of thing. It's very common to see Salvador players use either a butcher, a conference call, an unkempt herald, a lady fist, and a grognose. You know, everybody has a Norfleet. Every Siren player and Axton every Maya and Axton player most likely has a flying Sandhawk. Most likely has a flying Sandhawk. So like I said, this idea that they'd all create diversity is silly. And then I mean, granted, you don't want certain weapons to be more powerful with others, but you have 4 weapons, and there's only 2 of them you're going to be using most of the time. Like, I got 2 submachine guns, but I've never switched to them, ever. You know? So... it's like, I tried to tell somebody one time, playing, you know, video games where they give you
Moonshot complaint department. If we missed a moonshot, let's land you
a
among the
moral
stars.
compass.
How can I help today? Hi, yeah. I ordered a new IMP loader to shrink down my collection of porcelain pickles. I just wanted to get them real small. Anyway, your stupid moonshot delivery leveled my whole freaking house. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Sorry? Those pickles were irreplaceable. Plus, you know, my house. Now I have to crash at my buddy Connor's place while I wait for my insurance to sort through this whole mess. Was that Connor Daniels? Coordinates 33 by minus 93 in the Rust Commons? Yeah? Why? Hey, what the? And lunch break.
Oh man, he about to die. I forgot what happens on the 3rd one. Anyways,
No refund.
again, I thoroughly enjoy Borderlands. What I do not enjoy, as I said before, is the bullshit that comes with it. You know? There we go. I literally. And the only reason I died is because these guys were mowing me down, or went down. It's because these guys were mowing me down. Anyways, Uranus is a great way to farm for gear. Now, usually he drops at least 1 legendary, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes, you know. And that's the worst part. This boss has one of the biggest and best loot pools in the game, but you know, whatever he drops, he drops. And from what it's looking like, he ain't dropped shit I want. So, what we're gonna have to do now, I should really set that elevator up to, oh wait, no, the elevator's already down here. So, what's gonna happen now is I'm gonna take this elevator upstairs, then I'm gonna go out this way, And then I'm gonna bust this left. And I'm gonna bust this left again. And I'm gonna take this elevator down. And then we'll do this right here. Now that the game is saved, I'm gonna quit. And that's it. And see, this is what happens. What people end up doing is they end up farming bosses like Uranus for better gear. And when they get that better gear, they keep it moving, you know? Now, if I had a double penetrating unkempt Herald, I'd fuck this guy up. Easy. One of the other problems, how long it takes. So now there are two places you could respawn from in the Helios Fallen. By the no return fast travel station or the other. The other thing about Borderlands is that there conveniently are some, you know, there's some fast travel stations that allow you to exploit the hell out of this game, and then some that just questionably don't. I mean, if you're gonna do it like that, why not make it tedious all around? But you don't, so instead, totally could have just jumped over there and did thing, but
Welcome to my humble shop.
never gonna use that rocket launcher. Never gonna use that gun. Never gonna use that gun. And I'm never going to use that gun. You know, and that's a stoic Sandhawk. Most people are just gonna reset their game constantly. And they're just gonna keep resetting it until they get the gear they want. No one is actually going to, you know, stick with the card that they've, you know, been dealt. Yeah, I see what it's from.
I am It's been removed!
Mission success.
Back from the dead, pendejos!
See now, with a corrosive flying Sandhawk, I'd easily, and a B shield, I could easily take this boss out. But this is a great place to farm iridium, as well as farm good gear and get some experience. Like, I've already killed this guy twice, and I've already got a decent amount of experience. The only problem I have is these loot explosions, where gear seems to fall through the fucking floor on occasion. You know what I mean? A lot of blue stuff, a lot of blue shit, but nothing remotely good. Like, I mean, there's absolutely nothing good that this guy dropped. And that's disappointing. It's very disappointing. I don't even know. Like, normally you could stand up high and sort of see. If there was anything of note that was dropped, but I don't see nothing. Third time's the charm. In fact, let's see if he dropped any decent class mods. I didn't even think about it. So let's check all the blue gear, make sure there's nothing. No. No. Vitality relic. So, as you can see, this was a shitty run once again. And trust me, when you're farming gear and you're not finding what you want, it could be a little frustrating, especially with how long of a process it could take. I know when I kept resetting the game just to get the flying sandhawk, what I would do is right before, you know, when I accepted the quest reward, if it wasn't a flying sandhawk, I would go out to the game's menu and I would close the game and then load it all the way back up. And yes, I use the term all the way back up. Because it takes a minute for Borderlands on console to boot up. If you have a disc, you have to put the disc in, right? You have to wait through, you know, the game. You have to wait through the splash page, and then you have to, and then you have this this game selection menu. So then you select the game menu, right? Or you select the game that you want to play, pre-sequel Borderlands 2. And then after that, the game loads. 2K Games, Gearbox Software, Iron Galaxy, Borderlands All Rights Reserved, blah 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 blah. Title screen. I modded the PC version so I would never have to go through that. When I boot the game, it starts right up, and any of those splash pages and screens that are there, I can skip. You can't do that on a PS4. And then to add insult to injury, the game tries to look for content and load online features, slowing the overall process of the game, slowing the overall startup of the game. And this doesn't change if I'm playing on an Xbox One. The only benefit to playing on the One is that I could select between Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. But that is literally it. I can't do much of anything else. So it's not... It tends to not be a fun experience if you've been repeatedly, you know, doing that when you just want a specific gun and the damn quest reward doesn't give it to you, you know?
Let's do this!
It is what it is, though. I'm not tripping. But right here. The other thing is all the crap on screen. React Hornet, okay. I got something decent. mind you, I'm farming Uranus until I can get a legendary class mod. Because he'll drop them. You just have to, you got to be patient. In the meantime, all the extra money, all the extra weapons, things like that, all that stuff's going to come in handy. Now, I am going to sell the Hornet because, you know, the Unkempt Herald is a better gun. You know, corrosive damage is much preferred, but, you know, we're working with what we got here. But if I can get my hands on a corrosive weapon, or, I mean, if they can make the Unkempt Herald and more elements than explosive, that'd be great. I mean, you could even go as far as calling it the Infected Herald or something. I don't know. What I do know is I think they're going to need to do a little better with giving us choices or combat options. Because our only options for machines are corrosive, explosive, and slag damage. You know, electric when you're trying to take out a shield, but really you want corrosive damage because that's going to eat all that armor away. In any case, I think I'm done streaming and ranting and talking into the air for now. So, with everybody that ends up watching this, you can't see any more picture, but stream is over. Thank you for watching and listening, and I be around.